Hello, my name is Jillian Snyder, and I researched dog behavior for my scenario project. This interests me because I have 2 dogs of my own. It's time to find out what goes on inside dogs' heads. Our first topic is separation anxiety. The symptoms of separation anxiety include barking, chewing, defecating, digging, howling, trying to escape, or urinating. Usually this happens when owners aren't home, but it can start happening before they leave. Dogs can also become depressed before their owners leave and will probably not be interested in any toys. This can result in self-injury and/or household destruction if not treated early enough. And the goal to cure it is to resolve the dog's underlying stress. So minimizing the stress in your dog's life is very important to prevent separation anxiety. Chewing and digging related to separation anxiety. So chewing and digging are very self-explanatory. Chewing or digging at household objects, and it can result in self-injury, which is why you need to be very cognizant if you come home to things being chewed or digging, because it could be a part of separation anxiety. Defecating and urinating related to separation anxiety. So it happens when they are left alone. If it is not in the presence of the owner, then it can be caused by separation anxiety. But if it is caused in the presence of owner, it is not at all caused by separation anxiety. Trying to escape relating to separation anxiety. This happens when dogs are left alone or separated from their owner or guardian. They might attempt to chew or dig through doors, as we have mentioned earlier, and this can result in injury. So it's very important that if you know your dog has separation anxiety, to not be away for too long or to get them some professional help. This does not, I will repeat, does not occur when the owner is present. So if your dog is trying to escape while you are present, it is probably not separation anxiety. About pacing. So it usually doesn't occur when the owner is present, as we have discussed earlier. They can walk in straight lines or in a circular motion, and usually dogs walk or trot along a specific path in a specific pattern. So if your dog is just walking around, that's okay, plus you would be present to know that. So yeah. Barking, one of the biggest topics everyone knows about dogs. So obviously it can be excessive, but before jumping to conclusions, you want to identify its cause and your dog's motivation before just yelling at them. So there are several causes for barking, but some of them are alarm, attention-seeking, compulsive, frustration-induced, greeting, socially facilitated, or territorial. Some other problems include illness, injury, and separation anxiety. If your dog is barking at any noise, regardless of knowing what it is, then it is probably alarm barking. They usually have stiffer body language, move or pounce forward, and are usually in either a familiar or unfamiliar places. That can basically happen anywhere, anytime, just based on surroundings. Attention seeking is very self-explanatory. They either want toys, food, or play, or something special that you give them. Just show them by completely ignoring them that they won't get what they want by barking, and they should be quiet to get what they want. Compulsive and frustration-induced barking. So some dogs bark excessively in a repetitive way, which can be annoying. But these dogs might move in a repetitive way, which lets you know what type of barking it is so that you can help. An example is a dog who's compulsively barking might run back and forth along a fence, or they might pace. However, pacing is also a part of separation anxiety, so you might want to make sure it's not that. Some dogs only bark a lot when in a frustrating situation. So when they can't access playmates, they're tied up, and or their movement is restricted. So you want to get them access to these things ASAP so that they won't bark and they can feel better, because that could also result in injury. Greeting and socially facilitated barking. So a lot of dogs bark in greetings with other dogs and humans. The dog's body is usually relaxed, his tail wagging, and just excited to see someone. Dogs who bark in greeting might also whine. So you wanna, if they're not barking a lot and it's just barking when they see you or another friend, then they're probably fine unless they keep barking after that. Socially facilitated barking is also pretty self-explanatory. If another dog starts barking, it starts off a whole cacophony of barking, so that's pretty much self-explanatory. Territorial barking is when dogs are protecting their territory and they bark excessively. So if they're protecting their home, the area surrounding their home, or the car, this might cause them to bark if they sense an intruder, which is an interesting thing for people who have dogs, because they might be able to sense intruders. Other problems, illness or injury. Before trying to stop the barking in that situation, if none of the others sound like the answer, then you might need to have your dog examined by a veterinarian. Now, if the barking happens when you aren't around and a neighbor or a camera has caught your dog barking, check for other symptoms of separation anxiety, which might be the cause. Destructive chewing. So this can be damaging to both the dog and the item. Some causes for this are fabric sucking, hunger, and or separation anxiety. 2. Fabric sucking and hunger. Some dogs like to lick, suck, or chew at specific fabrics. If it's excessive, it's most likely fabric sucking, and if it is very excessive, try to engage your dog in chewing a toy or a bone instead. A dog with a restricted diet might try to chew and destroy objects to satisfy their need for nutrients, usually related to things that smell like food or are related to food, such as an empty dish that you put the dog's food in. Dogs who chew because of separation anxiety usually chew when they are alone, and they also display other symptoms of separation anxiety, which we have already talked about. Howling, another big topic. The causes could be attention-seeking, medical response, or separation anxiety. There is systematic desensitization and counter-conditioning. You should identify this before acting, and spend time with your dog to make sure they don't howl a lot. Attention-seeking and medical-related howling. So attention-seeking could be that it occurs in your presence, unlike separation anxiety. After giving them attention, they stop. It can be to get attention, food, or a desired object, but to teach them not to howl to get what they want, don't pay any attention. However, if this continues, it's probably not attention seeking. Medical reasons, they could howl because they are hurt or injured, and you should seek a veterinarian to rule this out if none of the others sound. So response-based and separation anxiety howling. So response-based is based on other sounds, just like it sounds like. Usually stops when the sound stops. Usually isn't excessive unless it's a very loud sound that keeps on going, such as like a siren on a police car or something. Can be excessive if the sound happens frequently. So that's also a pretty self-explanatory one. They could also howl because other dogs are howling. Yeah. Separation anxiety howling usually only happens when they're left alone, and there are other signs of separation anxiety present. Systematic desensitization and counterconditioning. So this is about how a dog feels about a particular thing. So if they're howling because of a thing, teach them to do a different behavior instead of howling. You will need to change his motivation and feelings. This is a way to solve the problem of howling. So if they're howling based on a siren, as I've used before, then you can teach them, instead of howling at the siren, you can teach them to chew on a bone instead, so that you won't be annoyed and they'll be happy. One of our final types, whining. The types are appeasement, greeting, seeking attention, and anxiety and or separation anxiety. This can happen anytime and can result in excessive whining if not acted upon. Appeasement and greeting-induced whining. So this is usually interacting with people and other dogs, and they have a different posture, which is a key thing to look for. Their tail is tucked, their body is lowered, and their head is down, with their gaze averted. Greeting-induced is motivated by excitement. This may be directed at other dogs or people. Appeasement whining is very important because they're usually trying to please you. So to show them that you are pleased, you can pet them or say good boy or good girl, and something like that. Greeting induced, that just happens. Seeking attention and separation anxiety induced whining. So seeking attention, they're usually whining to get your attention. They could whine to get food, toys, or desired objects. Now, to teach them to not whine to get what they want, completely ignore them, exactly like the howling and barking. Separation anxiety and anxiety-induced whining is usually in response to stressful situations and seems involuntary, or before you leave or during your absence, and others. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned a lot about dogs and behavior because of my projects. Thank you for watching.